Hey, some recent video games feature unlockables that are really challenging, that really push players to their limits. I'm talking walking along the razor's edge.
Also, hey, spoiler warning for these recent games. Definitely look here. Make sure this game doesn't get spoiled for you. But anyway,
we got 10 cool examples, so let's get started off with number 10. Death Stranding 2. Look, the central goal of the game is connecting all of Australia to the chiral network, and they saved the hardest optional challenge for last. In the southernmost part of the continent, there's a hidden bunker that will only join the network if you manage to deliver them 3 pieces of lost cargo that's just hidden in nearly impossible to spot parts of the map. Trying to find these things normally is a massive chore. They don't actually tell you where they are, and in contrast to the usual lost cargo you have to find, you have to bring 3 pieces to them to get them to join. Just finding one of these is not enough. There's cargo hidden on top of other buildings, up in the rafters of an old factory, and up on a strut in the middle of nowhere. Just reaching these things requires some ingenuity and a lot of ladders, but the hardest part is just recognizing where they are in the first place. For one thing, this cargo doesn't even start showing up until you pass a certain point in the story. I'm not sure exactly how far you have to get, but you gotta get pretty far in before this stuff actually starts appearing. It's not exactly impossible, like the location name implies, but it still isn't easy. The rewards you get for connecting this last secret location to the network are purely cosmetic. But hey, at least the color you unlock is at least pretty appropriately weird for all the work you put into unlocking it. Next at number 9, the Gold Slayer skin from Doom: The Dark Ages. Now, like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal before it, the latest entry here has its own version of the infamous Ultra Nightmare difficulty. This is the highest difficulty mode in the game, and it raises enemy damage by 250%. It also makes enemies significantly more aggressive, and enemies get out of being dazed way faster, and you just get far fewer resources from ammo pickups. The damage and increased monster aggression is really what makes this mode incredibly challenging, along with one other thing. There are no extra lives, so if you die for real. It's game over, and you have to restart the level all over again. It's an only slightly more forgiving kind of permadeath mode that means just one slip up can mean an hour of lost progress, especially because some of these levels are kind of big. It's extremely punishing, but if you manage to somehow overcome this challenge, then you get the Golden Slayer skin, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's the Doom guy, but he's gold. Compared to Doom Eternal's Ultra Nightmare, this is technically easier overall, but that still doesn't make it easy. It's just slightly more possible to actually complete, at least if you're playing it with unmodified settings. The problem with Ultra Nightmare in the Dark Ages is that for some reason, they let you modify the difficulty settings after starting the mode up, so you can push all the sliders to their lowest values, and it'll still somehow count as Ultra Nightmare. Come on, I mean, the whole point of these super difficult modes is the bragging rights, so it kind of just sucks all the fun out of them if you can just select the hardest difficulty and then make the game easy in the settings. So this one comes with a slight qualification. The Gold Slayer skin is only extremely hard to unlock if you choose to play on Ultra Nightmare difficulty and play on the default settings or harder, because otherwise the skin is technically easy to unlock as any other campaign completion one in the game. Now again, even though it's not quite as hard as Doom Eternal's Ultra Nightmare on a technicality, it's still probably one of the hardest challenges ever, and it's very, very impressive if you do it the intended way. Next over number 8 is the Arlecchino sticker from Lies of P Overture. Now, one of the features added to Lies of P with the patch that came with the Overture DLC was the Battle Memories option, where you can actually refight previous main bosses that you've already completed. There are some seriously tough fights in Lies of P, but the hardest by far has probably got to be the final boss of the DLC, Arlecchino, the Blood Artist. In the main game, he's not actually too bad because you've got Companion helping you out, but if you try taking this guy on in the Battle Memories, then you get no help. The fight in the main DLC was the easy mode version of this guy. It was handicapped, so you could actually finish the game without tearing your hair out. But the version of him in the battle arena here is the real deal. Each boss starts off at level 3, which is equivalent to the hardest difficulty in the normal game, but if you manage to beat them, then you get to take them on at higher difficulty levels up to level 5. The Blood Artist at level 5 is absolutely ridiculous, and he's not just one of the hardest bosses in Lies of P, he's seriously one of the harder bosses in the entire Souls genre, and we're not kidding here. There's no reward for defeating any of these bosses on any difficulty other than level 5. But if you do manage to do it somehow, then you get a little sticker of the boss. That's it. You can put it on P's carrier bag. That's the reward for beating them. A sticker. Congratulations. It's like middle school. Now, it's not much, but it is something, and something that we cannot show you, because while we know someone out there probably has managed to beat this guy at level 5 difficulty, we're not sure there's any actual visual evidence of this sticker existing. I know it does, because those are the rewards for beating the bosses at level 5, but there's just nothing out there yet. Even if you did get them, they're so small that they're almost impossible to notice during normal gameplay. If you get a bragging rights reward, but it's so small that the person who gets it doesn't even realize it's there, does it even exist? Well, apparently it does, but it's not like we're ever going to get good enough to see it. Next at number 7, the Simoso sword from Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This sword is what you get for beating the hardest challenge in the game, the super boss, Simon, who's found at the bottom of the abyss. The sword itself is crazy powerful, adding light damage on top of whatever skill damage an attack would inflict, which is handy. But the real powerful thing about it is that it makes it so you cannot die if Verso is rank A with this weapon equipped. If you don't know, Verso's whole gimmick is that he starts off at rank D at the start of a battle, and as you inflict damage and successfully dodge and parry attacks and stuff, his rank goes up, all the way up to S, where he gets significantly stronger. Getting to rank A in a battle is simple, so maintaining that rank isn't hard, and that means that essentially Verso is invincible with this sword. Getting it is absurdly hard though, because Simon is just unbelievably tough. Turn-based RPGs have always had their fair share of pain-in-the-ass super bosses, but this guy is something else. Just imagine all the most annoying things a boss in a turn-based game can do, and he does it. A bunch of instant kill attacks? Yep. The ability to permanently remove party members from battle? He does it all the time. In fact, in his second form, he will always do it immediately after an attack if a party member dies. And just to really be a pain in the ass, he's got one fun little trick up his sleeve. Near the end of his second form, out of a total of 3, he just straight up instantly kills your entire party. There's no way to avoid this. There's no way to get around it or negate it. He just kills everyone instantly, and you have to use your backup party members for the rest of the fight. This is a boss where you have to plan ahead big time if you want to win, and use every overpowered trick in the book to beat his ass as quickly as possible, because he's got a massive health bar and a bunch of annoying, infuriating attack strings that are really difficult to avoid. Basically, if you want to beat him, you have to, 1, never get hit, which can prove difficult because after his first form, he starts generating after effects after every attack that hits multiple times, forcing you to parry in a way that is never done in the rest of the game. And 2, hope that your backup party members are good enough and that you're good enough with them to finish the fight. Hey, at least you get something for beating him, even if it's a sword that's basically worthless at this point, because like there's nothing left in the game that's even close to being as hard as this dude. Now, number 6, a secret message from game creator Joseph Fares in Split Fiction. Now, in the isolation chapter of the game, the one where you have to break into the high security sci-fi prison, there's a hidden secret area that can be accessed by pressing the 2 buttons on the elevator at the end of the maximum security level. The code is actually printed nearby. All you have to do is find the binary code and then press the buttons on the elevator in the same sequence, with the right button filling in for 0 and the left button for 1. So put in the code correctly, then stand on the buttons, and you'll be transported to Laser Hell. That's the fan name for this 5-level nightmare challenge. You have to like avoid lasers that start off unfair until the end, where you're getting to like Super Meat Boy level platforming difficulty. If you both die, then it's back to the start. Like there are no checkpoints, and that's what makes this whole, optional section super brutal. The lasers would be bad enough with just 1 player, but with 2, they're exponentially worse. Trying to navigate through the chaos with a friend in tow is just like impossible. But if you manage to somehow do it, then your reward is a little message from the game's director, Joseph Fares, congratulating you on your achievement, and promises that if you send them proof of finishing the run, and if you were the first to do it, then he says he'll fly you out to Sweden to get the first look at their next game. Kind of like the Willy Wonka golden ticket of video game creation, and someone has successfully done it, so that's really cool. This whole reward is definitely a lot more exciting than an in-game sticker, gotta admit.
Next at number 5, the secret vermin party member from Look Outside. Now, this unusual indie game is already being hailed as a modern cult classic. It's like a real good experience, and part of what makes this RPG survival horror hybrid so interesting is like the many secrets. It's just got a bunch of stuff hidden away in the dark corners of its twisted world. Like, this isn't a long game, and at least if you know what you're doing, then it's not oppressively challenging, but unlocking some of the game's toughest secrets can be a big pain. This one, especially because it requires a lot of setup and the actual outcome is still really inconsistent. So one of the many party members you can recruit in the game is this guy named Vermin, and getting him requires doing a few extremely counterintuitive things. So every once in a while, you'll get cockroaches in your inventory. The obvious thing to do is kill them so they don't eat your food, but if you go home without getting rid of them, then they'll start appearing around your apartment. First instincts are, of course, just like to kill these things when they appear on the ground, because you're probably assuming that if you don't deal with the roach problem, then it'll bite you in the ass later, like a lot of other strange things that happens in this game. But in this particular instance, though, you actually want to be nice to the cockroaches. Don't leave them there alone when they're just crawling around your apartment. Like, hang out with them, start making them food. You do this by, and I'm not kidding here, making food and then not eating it. Like, make a meal and then just leave it out in game. If you leave and come back to the food, it will be disappeared, and the roaches will thank you for the food. You have to keep doing this, and eventually, it's not clear how many times you have to do it or like when exactly it'll happen, but if you keep at it, then there's a possibility that you'll find a new guy to talk to standing in your bathroom. Most of the time, that would be a very bad thing, but here, they want to help you out. They want to be a party member. It's a swarm of roaches in a trench coat, and an actually really useful party member, but actually unlocking this guy isn't just obscure and easy to miss. Like, there's just a fair chance that he doesn't even appear. So good luck, because either way, he is worth it. Next at number 4, Stuntman from Balatro. Look, out of the many available Joker cards to unlock in the game, Stuntman is one of the absolute hardest to get. The card itself is extremely risky to use as it cuts your hand size down by 2, but gets you a whole lot of chips to start out with. It's useful for certain builds, but actually unlocking requires a whole lot of careful setup, along with a whole lot of luck. To earn the Stuntman Joker, you have to earn 100 million chips from one hand. Not 100 million total, but from a single hand, which isn't as impossible as it sounds, but it's going to take some real luck to see the right synergies that'll boost your chip earnings by that much. It's going to take either a whole lot of just playing Balatro for this to happen naturally, or a whole lot of laser focus on building the exact right sort of run that'll get you in position to get those kinds of earnings from one hand. Either way, unlocking Stuntman ain't easy, but it's pretty cool. Now at number 3, the Blueprints maze from The Blueprints. This roguelike puzzle game just doesn't seem to end. Like, every time you reach a goal or some kind of endpoint, it just reveals deeper mysteries to solve. Your main goal is to reach the mysterious Room 46, which is an ordeal all by itself, but that's far from the end of the game. It goes so much deeper than that. Eventually, you're exploring secrets of the basement, you're unlocking hidden passages through secret computer rooms, and getting real deep in the weeds with some pretty mind-bending chess puzzles that correspond to the placement of certain rooms in the mansion. I mean it. Like, there are secrets everywhere, and it requires some real dedication and patience to figure out, because this isn't your standard puzzle game. You don't just have access to all the puzzle elements at all times. The roguelike elements make everything significantly more complicated, especially in the late game, where you really need to be thinking like multiple steps ahead at all times if you want to get even close to figuring out some of the later game challenges. By the time you're draining the reservoir and unlocking secret throne rooms, then that's when it feels like things are starting to finally wrap up, only for the game to throw one final crazy unlockable challenge at you at the last minute. The literal Blueprints maze found in the also extremely hidden Atelier room. This place is absolutely wild and just a huge brain teaser on its own, but what makes the Blueprints work is that while the game has some seriously difficult puzzles, you never actually need outside help to solve them. It doesn't go full ARG by the end. Everything in the game can be solved by a single player or working alone, so you're never forced to like look up what to do next. It's arduous and very time consuming, but you can reach this point on your own, at least in theory. As with everything in the Blueprints, your reward for all of this work is more puzzles, but if you're this deep into the game, then that's probably exactly the reward you're looking for, you puzzle junkie. Now down at number 2, one of the more unique aspects of Dune Awakening is the Landsrad system here. How it works can be pretty complicated, but the basic idea is that the two major factions of the game, House Atreides and House Harkonnen, or Harkonnen, depending on which movies are your favorite, are fighting for control. And how that is expressed in the game is the Landsrad menu. There's a 5x5 grid with each one flipping over and revealing different objectives that players can then contribute to. Once the objective is complete, then it flips to whichever side contributed the most to it. And each individual player gets rewarded depending on how much they personally gave to whatever sum total the objective was, be it like a donation of resources or killing people in PvP in the desert or the whatever else. This is something anyone can contribute to if they want, but if you want to actually get the most out of it, or if you're in a more populous server, getting a chance at any rewards at all, then like you have to be a member of one of the guilds. Not just to survive in the deep desert, which is the game's PvP enabled endgame zone, but also just to have the people and resources to quickly complete objectives as they pop up. Once they're cleared, no one can contribute to them. So the groups that are able to complete these things efficiently and quickly are going to reap the biggest rewards. That's not the hardest unlock in the system though. Like the most powerful bonuses and rewards, which include lowering overall crafting costs by 25% or gaining access to special merchants who sell the best stuff in the game, you have to complete this, a Seisilrad, which is when a house claims 5 rewards in a row, either vertically, diagonally, or horizontally on the grid. If a group manages to do that, then they can select one of these powerful decrees that are in effect for the next week. And then the whole thing starts over again. To get the best stuff in Dune Awakening, you need to unlock these decrees. That's the point. Like these are the unlockables. But actually doing them just requires a serious amount of effort, dedication, and persistence and communication, not just from one player, but like we're talking entire guilds working together to make this happen. Now at number 1, the Berserker's Bloodshed from Kazan, the first Berserker. After beating Kazan, you unlock access to the game's ultimate challenge, which includes 2 extremely difficult boss rush modes. They're both crazy difficult, but the one titled Berserker's Bloodshed is just the work of a madman, dude. Allegedly, you can get some very powerful special equipment for completing this thing, but good luck with that because the boss rush is more than difficult. It's more than unfair. It's like the video game equivalent of getting your head dunked in a toilet. This isn't really a challenge. This is kind of just the game mercilessly bullying you. This mode is a 16 boss gauntlet that has you fight every major boss in the game in sequence up to and including the final boss, Ozma. Now, including the last boss here is just insanely cruel already because that guy is nuts on his own, even in a game that's already on the upper limit of Souls game difficulty. This guy is beyond everything else. He's like straight up one of the hardest Souls bosses ever. And you gotta beat him after taking on 15 other hard guys. The bosses in this game aren't cleared quickly either. They take a while to bring down, so this isn't just extremely challenging, it's like a genuine test of endurance. And to make it even more unfair, there's a roguelike element where like you get random upgrades after beating the bosses. So sometimes you'll get useful upgrades that help you out, or sometimes you just get a bunch of crap and it's just a wasted run. It's not just like a nearly impossible string of boss fights, which many of which have like one-hit kill attacks that can deploy early and often. There's also an element of randomness to it. Yeah, like so only the most masochistic gamer is ever even going to bother trying to beat this challenge. The Reddit, which is full of the most hardcore of hardcore players who beat the final boss on the hardest difficulty, are looking for greater challenges, and they're just giving up on Berserker's Bloodshed. It's crazy. When even the most dedicated and skilled players are throwing in the towel, then maybe this whole thing might be a little overtuned. Either way, though, those are 10 unlockables in recent games that really pushed players to their limits. If you've faced any of these challenges and got through them legitimately, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear, your feedback, your general experience, your story doing some of this stuff. Hit us up. If you like this video, clicking the like button helps us out. We really appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing, hitting that notification bell, because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.